What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well, having a good Friday. It is Good Friday, so hope you're having a good Friday if you celebrate. I'll get there in the end. Hope you're enjoying your bank holiday if you're over here in the UK. I hope you're just having a great Friday if you're around the world and you're not celebrating Good Friday. Nevertheless, hope everyone is doing very, very well. There is a match going on tomorrow, folks. Yes. Manchester United are playing. We've got a match at home against Norwich, and we're going to talk about the preview. We're going to talk about team news. We're going to talk about Ralf Rangnick's press conference as well that he had earlier today. He spoke to all of the media at Carrington, Manchester United's training complex. Of course, there was the protest as well before the press conference. People outside Carrington. Ralf Rangnick spoke about that. He spoke about absences. He spoke about trying to find consistency this season. He spoke about a lot of things, so we've got a lot to get into. So let's get straight into the first question, which was regarding these protests outside Carrington today to Ralf Rangnick. He said, quote, the question was rather, outside there's fans protesting on how the club is being run and results this season. What's your view on the point they're trying to make and the overall view of the club? Rangnick had this to say, quote, we all know that football is a game of passions and emotions, and we can all understand. I understand the supporters being disappointed about where we stand in the table and the performance against Everton. I still believe our supporters are one of the best, if not the best, in England. As long as they do the protest in a peaceful way, and as long as they still support the team in the stadium, they have the right to express their opinion. Emotionally, I can understand them being disappointed. And I think, to be fair, and obviously, look, I've covered so many Ralf Rangnick press conferences this season. Well, I've covered everyone since he came in as the interim manager in December. And I think he handled that question as well as he can handle it, you know. Everyone, as he says, everyone's got the right to protest. Everyone's got the right to express their opinion. Whether or not you agree with people's opinion, and this just goes for life, not just the protests that were happening today and are scheduled for tomorrow, of course. You know, everyone's got the right to protest. Everyone's got the right to voice their opinion as long as they do it in a peaceful manner, as long as you don't get situations where the law is broken, people get hurt, violence or anything like that. They have the right to express their opinion. And frankly, as Ralf says, you can understand them. If you're not necessarily the wider issue of the Glazers or anything like that, I think everyone's kind of on the same page when it comes to that one, frankly. But if you're looking at this season, of course, everyone's disappointed. He can understand that as well. I think he's disappointed. Ralf Rangnick's very disappointed. I think he thought that when he came in to the club in December, I think he thought it was going to look way different to how it currently looks right now. I don't think he truly knew really what he was getting himself in for. I think he thought he was just coming into a side that maybe was a bit, out of form and just needed a bit of a change of opinion, a change of philosophy, and just to get them to the end of the season. But there's good players here, so it won't be too difficult to turn it around. I don't think he truly realised the mess that Manchester United have been in when it comes to player power, when it comes to people's reaction to training, to ideas, to philosophies, the structure of the club, poor transfers, extended contracts, just the general discontent and low morale surrounding the club. That's not just to do with results. That's part of it, obviously, but it's not just to do with results. There's far bigger issues at Manchester United, and I don't really think Ralf realised what he was walking into. Certainly now he does. He got what he thought was just a bad card. He thought, I'll give a bit of a service and it'll be fine. And he's looked under the bonnet, the hood, whatever you want to call it, and gone, oh, actually, this car's in really bad shape and it's going to take way longer than an interim manager or anything like that to fix it. But I think he handled that question as well as he could. So the next question was overall results since you've been here and performances have not been consistent or maybe to the level you thought. How do you feel about not being able to trigger an improvement that most people expected? Now, Rangnick pushed back on this one slightly here. He said, quote, I think we've had quite a few games where we really played well in the way that we played together as a team. But what we haven't done is do it in a sustainable way and over a longer period of time. And I'm disappointed in that. He spoke about the game against Crystal Palace, the fabled Crystal Palace 25 minutes. He spoke about the results against the likes of West Ham and Tottenham and Leeds, and he said the first 70 minutes against against Aston Villa where the team played well, but we just couldn't do that in a sustainable way. I mentioned he said that he was disappointed about that. He thought that United would have been able to play to sustainably on a higher level, but we're going to keep trying that for the rest of the season. I think, of course, he's going to be disappointed. It kind of just reaffirms my point I just made a second ago, doesn't it, guys? That I think Rangnick had certain preconceptions, shall we say, about the job that he was walking into, but I don't think he truly knew what was really the problem at the club and what were some real massive fundamental problems at the club. It's not just an on-field issue at Manchester United. It's far worse than that, and there's a cultural problem, almost a societal problem in the Manchester United society, if you will, at that club, that I don't think he truly realised and knew what he was walking into. And he's right to an extent. There have been some games where United play well for 20, 25 minutes and you go, oh, that's good. But that's just not good enough, to be honest, is it? It's just not. You can't expect to have success if you play well for 20 minutes per game or 25 minutes per game. And again, it goes back to the players. It really does. We can be bothered to run around for 20, 25 minutes and that should be enough because we're so great. No. Quality be damned, frankly. Because quality will always get outdone by hard work. If a team's willing to work hard for 90 minutes, they'll beat 20 minutes of quality, especially of a team that can't really be bothered. And it's been very evident that they can't recently. So, we saw glimpses and flashes of it early on in Ralf Rangnick's tenure. But as I spoke about before, I think Ralf came in with his ideas, his philosophy, his style of play. And the players initially went, well, we'll give it a try. And they did it for 20, 25 minutes. And then they kind of burnt out because of the fitness levels, physicality of it. That's fine. But after a couple of weeks, they just shook their head and went, we don't want to do it. And what's Ralf going to do? He's an interim manager. He doesn't really have that much authority. And his job's just to carry us to the end of the season. We're limping towards the end of the season, but he's doing his best. I really don't blame Ralf that much. Like I said, I sympathize with him. I do. I really sympathize with him because I just feel like he's been put in a really unenviable position of trying to manage a group of players that don't really want to listen and are unmanageable at times. Now, the next question was regarding Erik ten Hag, and of course it's the Dutch Cup final this weekend, Ajax versus PSV. And Erik ten Hag was actually asked in his press conference today several questions about Manchester United, and he rebuffed all of them, saying, as you would expect, I'm only here to talk about Ajax. I'm just talking about Ajax. Do you have any questions about Ajax and not Manchester United? It's going to be really fascinating when he comes to Manchester United about how he deals with the media, because from an outsider looking in, and I've hardly watched a load of Erik ten Hag press conferences, it must be said, but he can be quite blunt and quite direct with some of the media, so I'm interested to see if he does bring that with him to Manchester United. Nevertheless, the question was, when Erik ten Hag was asked today about Manchester United, he said he's just focusing on Ajax, but obviously there's been a lot of background noise. It's essentially a done deal, so when can we expect an announcement regarding Erik ten Hag? And Ralf Rangnick said, quote, I don't know if it's a done deal. My reply is the same as Erik ten Hag was. My focus is on the game tomorrow. And I was thinking this when I was sort of prepping for this show, that I understand why all of this is being done in terms of, because you can't really say anything, can you? You can't really say, oh yeah, he's going to be a great manager at Manchester United. And yeah, he's coming in. And Erik ten Hag can't say, yeah, I'm going to be leaving Ajax at the end of the season. I know we're still in the title race and it's a cup final I'm here to talk about, but yeah, I'm going to be going to United. I'm really excited. They can't say that, obviously. There's an element of professionalism. There's an element of respect that everyone involved's got to do. The issue is, and I understand that United want to play it respectful because they don't want to upset Ajax and they don't want to jeopardize their season when they've got some really big moments coming up, like this cup final, like the remaining games in the league, but there is a lot of background noise, and it's inevitable, especially with Man United, when everything gets out eventually, that it has to be weighing on the minds. I don't think it is so much of the Manchester United players, because it certainly doesn't look like it, but from the Ajax perspective, it has to be weighing on the mind of the players, and I think Erik ten Hag and everyone involved is probably trying to do their best to manage it as best as they can, trying to focus on what they're currently scheduled to do. Will an announcement come next week? Maybe. I think it depends on the result of the cup final, honestly, because if PSV win that, You could then argue that all of this distraction kind of cost them the cup, and we definitely don't want to make the announcement then because maybe if they blow the league, what happens then and all that kind of stuff. If they win it, then I think an announcement will come next week, a bit, Pep Guardiola style at Manchester City. At the end of the season, Erik ten Hag's going to become the Manchester United manager, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But I think a lot of it does hinge on the actual result this weekend, it must be said. Now, the next question was, what qualities do you see in someone like Erik ten Hag that can bring success to Manchester United? Again, Ralf responded to it how you would expect Ralf to respond to it, saying, quote, "We all know he's a good manager and that he has done a good job at Ajax and also at former clubs. But right now, it doesn't make sense to tell you what I think about any other coach." Now, obviously, that answer changes if it does get confirmed. If this time, there'll be a press conference. I don't even know if there'll be a press conference on Monday when it comes to the Liverpool game, but whatever. When there's a press conference next Friday for the Arsenal game, if it has been confirmed at that point, then yes, he can then give an answer to say, I think Erik ten Hag's a great coach and I think he'll do a great job. But he'll still say what he's been saying right now he's a great coach and I think he'll do really well and I really like him. But also, I'm still focusing on the next game because that is his title. That is Ralf Rangnick's role at the moment, is to be the interim manager. He still has to focus on these games. So I understand why journalists ask these questions because they do, and they have to ask the questions, but they know the response they're going to get. Ralf Rangnick said before he likes Erik ten Hag, but he's also said, "But I'm here to talk about Man United, so I can't talk about it." It's just you know the game that's going on in that situation. So the next question was, so do you have to take it game by game now then? And Rangnick said, quote, "In football in general, no matter where, this is what it's all about. It doesn't make any sense to speculate how other teams will play or if they'll drop points or not. As long as we don't win our own games, the other results won't be in our favour. So our focus is on tomorrow." And I felt that was quite interesting because maybe that's somewhat of a subtle swipe, shall we say, of Erik ten Hag, of Ralf Rangnick, basically saying there have been a lot of people focusing on what our competition's doing around us, and whilst we've been doing that, we haven't been focusing on ourselves at all. And also as well, I think he's trying to sort of hint to the players, look, actually, you know what? If we actually had our heads screwed on, if we were actually taking some pride in the performances, if we hadn't have given up in the last 2 weeks, we'd be massively in a top 4 race right now. If we had won our last 2 games against Leicester, against Everton, Arsenal lost back-to-back. I know Spurs are doing okay, but we'd be absolutely in this race for top 4 right now. It'd be a legitimate discussion. There'd be something to play for the rest of the season. We could achieve top 4 in what seems really unlikely, and we could have got to that point, but what did we do? Instead, we boo-booed face. We went, no, we give up, and we lost or we dropped points when we shouldn't have, and we're being punished for it. So I think Rangnick's point there is saying, look, just win our own games, make your own luck, because that's what we haven't been doing this season. And when was the last time we capitalised on anyone's slip-ups in general, let alone this season, but just in the last few seasons? It's incredibly frustrating. Now, the next question was, you spoke before about not being able to sustain a higher level. You explained that in games you have played well and you haven't. Do you think you know the key reason why you haven't been able to sustain that level? And Rangnick said, well, I can imagine what the reasons are. He didn't elaborate what those reasons were. He said, without using it as an excuse, we have lost a few players. We lost 3 of our strikers since the West Ham game. We are now missing a few players right now, Fred and Scott McTominay, our central defensive midfielders. That is also one of the reasons. We are not sustainably playing on the highest levels. We've reduced the goals conceded. We're not scoring many, but that's not always the case. It's about finding the balance to defend our own goal the way we defended against Everton. I was not happy at all. He talked about the unforced error from Matic, and he said even after that, when it comes to the goal, there were 12-15 seconds where we could have defended in a better way. 100% if we'd have scored the first goal in that game, it would have been completely different. So I always find these questions quite interesting because they're saying, why? Okay, what you say you haven't been able to play on a sustainable level, on a high level sustainably. Why is that? And my immediate response is, well, if he knew that, he would fix it. But as he kind of hints at, and this was probably maybe some of the most hinting that Ralf has done. He's going, well, I can imagine some reasons. And then he talks about missing players. But you can talk about the issue with, like, say, strikers. Cristiano Ronaldo is legitimately our only recognised striker right now. Of course that's a problem, but that in itself is not a reason to be, losing to Everton, who were 17th. That's not a reason to be dropping points. Even a game like Leicester at home, that's not a good enough reason, because we have better players. We have better quality players, and we didn't lose those games or drop points in those games because we only had one striker. No, we lost points in those games because we didn't try hard enough. We didn't apply ourselves hard enough, and we just weren't good enough. That's ultimately why. It was patterns of play. It had nothing to do with certain players were unavailable and that kind of stuff, because frankly, in some of those games, we could have brought on players, and I really don't think it would have made any kind of difference. It's a mentality issue. It's not a player issue in terms of people being available. We've had games when the entire squad's been available and we've still been rubbish. So I don't think that necessarily changes anything. Now, when it comes to the remainder of the season with certain players missing, will it affect us? Again, I don't even think it will, because I don't think at this point it matters necessarily which names play. We've just been that poor. And, it comes from the players themselves. And this kind of leads on nicely to the next question. The next question was, has motivation been an issue in recent games for the Manchester United players? There's been a different kind of general feel in those matches, which has not been what we would normally expect from Manchester United matches. And Ralf said, quote, "It shouldn't be a problem at a club like Manchester United. The players at United should always have a level of internal motivation." He said, if you look at the Everton game, we were in control. Not saying we played well, but we controlled the game. I had a feeling they felt shaky, and had we scored, it would have been a different game, but we didn't. When we conceded, we changed our own energy level, which shouldn't happen. Even if you concede a goal, you should keep your standards high. We should be aware that we are the better team with better players. And he goes, maybe that is motivation. Maybe that's also confidence. And I think, to be honest, Ralf was, again, very transparent there. Has motivation been an issue? He didn't say yes or no, but I think he kind of leaned one way there. He's going, well, maybe. Maybe it's motivation, maybe it's confidence. It shouldn't be a problem at Manchester United, but he's right. He's absolutely right. If you go and watch that Everton game, the first 20-25 minutes before we conceded, did we play amazingly well? No, but we did make some chances. We were relatively in control of the game. And what happens? We conceded, and we just went back to type. We just gave up. And I think it is a mixture of confidence and motivation. I think it was confidence of, here we go again, we're falling into this again. And also, again, motivation of, well, I don't really want to change anything. This has been the season, so we might as well just continue. Season's over anyway. Well, you still got a game to play. You can come back from this. I hate to be that guy that harkens back onto the good old days of Manchester United, but, back in the day, if you did concede a goal, it didn't matter. It just didn't matter. In the Manchester United teams of the past, it was concede a goal. The opposition was still worried because they went, we might have woke them up, or they might come back and absolutely batter us now. Whereas now, if a team goes 1-0 up at Manchester United, they know ultimately it's game over, probably, because this team doesn't have any fight. A lot of these players don't have any fight. And immediately after conceding the goal, it's head down, game over again this season, we've lost again. There's 75 minutes to go. But that's what it feels like watching Manchester United. And it shouldn't be an issue, but obviously it is. It clearly is. Watch some of the recent games. It clearly is a problem for Manchester United. Now, he spoke about some absences next, and there's quite a few, it must be said, for tomorrow's game. It was asked about Fred and McTominay missing. What about the other players? Rangnick said, quote, 5 players will still be missing for tomorrow, and some of them probably for the upcoming games after that as well. You've already mentioned Fred and Scott. Rafael Varane will still be missing out. Shaw, who had his bolts and metal stuff removed from his leg, and Edison Cavani. So, big names missing. Obviously, Fred came off against Everton, which is a blow. Scott McTominay's got the issue with the bottom of his foot. The Varane one, again, is just bizarre because, as far as I'm aware, you can let me know if I'm wrong here in the comment section below. Be sure to smash a like on the like button as well. Be sure to subscribe button right-hand corner. About 150 subscribers away now from 100k, by the way. So if you haven't already, now's the time to subscribe. Have they actually said what the injury issue is with Varane? Because, again, he kind of dropped it into the press conference last week like nobody was listening. He just sort of went, and Rafael Varane's still injured. And it was like, whoa. Still injured? When did he get injured? What happened there? And now he's like, Varane's still going to be missing out. since what? What's the problem? What is the problem? We knew about Fred and we knew about Scott McTominay and we knew about Luke Shaw and Edinson Cavani. I really don't think he's going to play again this season. I said that at the time when he came off for Uruguay. I think that's his last game for United. But they haven't really actually said what's the issue with Varane. And I think, some of the good favour, honestly, is starting to turn on Varane right now. And I think he's the best defender we've got at the club when he plays. But we knew this, and we've got to get away from this ultimately, Manchester United, because we've done it quite a few times now, whether it's Schweinsteiger or Cavani or Varane. When these guys play, they're great. And they have a great attitude when they play. They give everything for the club when they play. And they turn into sort of cult figures because we admire what they've achieved in their career and we admire their quality and we admire their desire when they play on the pitch. We admire their commitment. But they don't play because they're injury prone that much. They don't, honestly, they barely play. And it becomes a problem. And you have to wonder sometimes with these players, like, why were the club happy for them to leave? I think Varane's slightly different. Madrid did want to keep him, but his contract had, 18 months left, a year left, so United got that deal over the line. But we knew his injury record. So this is the thing. It's like with Cavani. We knew the injury record, so we can't then be surprised if he's always injured. Well, he's always been injured. Look at his Real Madrid career. He achieved so much, but he didn't play a ton of games. I think that is the stat that he missed out more games than he played. That's going to be the problem with Varane. And if you're happy to carry a player like that through the season and just go, well, when he is available, he's going to be important. You need to have appropriate backup that can step in and do a job. And do we have that? I like Lindelof, but Maguire's obviously still an issue. Eric Bailly is going to be leaving at the end of the season. Phil Jones looks to be leaving as well. So you're going to have to get in these defenders to replace those that are leaving and also be not just backup to Varane, but actually they're going to be playing a lot next season as well. So again, that is a problem. It absolutely is a problem. Now, finally, Rangnick was asked about Luke Shaw. He said, did the operation go smoothly? There's been reports he could be out longer. Rangnick said, quote, as it seems, he will be out for at least another 4 weeks, if not 5 weeks. So I think for him, it will be difficult to be available for one of the remaining 7 games. So essentially, Luke Shaw looks to be out for the rest of the season, which again, if you watched the press conference last week with me, I did say at the time that when they gave that recovery or return timeline of 2 or 3 weeks, I'm not a doctor. I'm not, but I thought this guy's having bolts and metal stuff out of his leg and he's going to be back in 2 or 3 weeks. It sounds like a pretty invasive surgery, it must be said, and we know Luke Shaw's fitness record. I just felt like that was a situation where he'd be out for the remainder of the season, and it looks to be like that. So it's going to be Alex Telles or get the youth players in. This is the perfect opportunity. Whether or not they'll do that, I doubt it, honestly. Now, talking about the match tomorrow, obviously, it's a must-win and an expected win. But I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys here. I'm going to be completely honest. I would be lying right now if I said I had any faith that we will win tomorrow. And I don't want to be negative. I don't want to go through this entire press conference reaction and match preview of being negative and being like, oh, we're going to lose and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, and you can let me know in the comment section below, honestly, would you be shocked? Realistically, would you be shocked if tomorrow's result was a 0-0 or a 1-1 or even a shock Norwich 1-0 victory? And at the end, they're like, Norwich are still fighting for their lives. They might be bottom of the table, but they're still fighting. It just gets worse and worse for Manchester United. Manchester United lose and drop points again. Manchester United, what's going on, Manchester United? Would you be shocked if you saw that tomorrow? Because for me, no. I'm low-key expecting it, honestly. What are Norwich going to do tomorrow? We know exactly what they're going to do tomorrow. They're going to defend deep. They're going to have a low block. They're going to try and hit us on the counter-attack. They're going to look for set pieces. And guess what? If they do that, it will work because it's worked for other teams. And, maybe if it's 0-0 or if it's 1-0 to them, we'll be pushing hard the last 5 minutes. We'll be getting corners. And they're on commentary, they'll be saying Manchester United are throwing everything forward. And Manchester United are putting on pressure. Manchester United are doing this, doing that. We've heard it all before. There is a reason this season why we've got so many last-minute winners or equalisers or whatever, because for the majority of the game, we don't play well or we don't play at all. And suddenly, with 5 or 10 minutes remaining, we go, we've got to score. We've got to do something. We've heard it so many times. We heard it last week. And the most frustrating thing is, as a United fan, is that when you see all of this in the last 5 minutes, United are going for it and all that kind of stuff, like Everton last week. United are pushing people forward, and I remember Martin Keown was on commentary and going, United are putting the pressure on, and you're watching it going, we're not going to score. Like, we could be here until next week, and we're not going to score. We've heard it all before. Now, even tomorrow, we might even play well for the opening 20-25 minutes tomorrow and be in control of the game. But there will come a period of time where we will still be shaky. And of course, and you might be saying, oh, you're giving Norwich way too much credit. They're bottom of the league. And of course they're bottom of the league. And we do have better players than them, far better players than them. But I remember when we played them at Carrow Road, yes, we won that game after a penalty, but they were the better side. They really were the better side. Our record against the sides that are lower down in the league is not good this season because they know how to beat us. And not even just by low block or set pieces. They beat us by working harder than us because we have a team that doesn't work hard or doesn't apply themselves or is so inconsistent that even a team at the bottom of the league has maybe a better level of consistency throughout 90 minutes than us. Should we roll them over 3 or 4-0? Absolutely. And, and you never know. If we get an early goal, that could happen. But frankly, if we won 3-0, 4-0, I'd be surprised because when have we done that? Like earlier this season, Leeds at home, but when was the last game we dominated? And it was comfortable. I don't think we've been comfortable for the entire season in a game. Thinking about it, when was the last time we were comfortable for more than maybe 10 minutes at the end of the game when we knew we'd won? We're never comfortable. We certainly haven't been under Ralf, and again, I don't criticise Ralf for that. That's just the situation we find ourselves in. We don't dominate games. There will be a 10, 15-minute period in the game tomorrow where we're shaky. Despite, again, being bottom of the table, David De Gea will have to make at least one crucial save, or maybe more than that, and we'll go, oh, David De Gea, unbelievable save once again, because that's been the season this season. And the crazy thing is that I say all of this stuff, and again, I know it sounds negative, and I know it sounds, oh, you're bottom of the league, you Manchester United have some pride owing and all that kind of stuff. What's crazy about all of this is we know it to be true. We know it to be true going into the game. That's what it was like at the Everton game last weekend. Going into that game, there were so many United fans that knew exactly what was going to happen, and it did. Everyone, so many people knew. It doesn't matter that they're 17th in the league. If they want it more than us, they'll beat us. And they did. Because it's that predictable at this point. So if we knew it going into the game against Everton, we should also know it going into the game against Norwich. And, and again, I hope we win, and we should win. But let's not be shocked here. And let's not even be outraged. Because, frankly, we know what's going to happen at this point. Now, as far as team selection, I think the team relatively picks itself because of the absences. David De Gea, obviously, in goal. Wan-Bissaka was slightly surprising starting at right back last weekend, so I think Dalot will come back in. Although Dalot seems to have, fallen out of favour somewhat significantly under Ralf Rangnick, which is quite interesting. It will be Maguire and Lindelof as the two centre backs because, of course, Rafael Varane is out with the injury. It will be Telles at left back because, of course, Luke Shaw is still recovering from his surgery. I think Telles needs to have a way better game. I thought his delivery on all of the set pieces he was on last week was really, really poor. So I think he needs to have a better game. It's the entire back four, frankly, he needs to have a better game. The midfield three, again, with the absence of McTominay and Fred, I think somewhat picks itself. I think he'll be Matic, who reportedly today has told Manchester United officials he wishes to leave at the end of the season, and look, if that's what he wants, fine. I'm happy with whoever to leave at this point. Let's be honest. I think that there needs to be a giant reset and a giant just rebirth of Manchester United, and the more players that go out, the better. Whilst you can say, well, if we don't replace him, so be it. Play the youth players, do whatever. We just need to get a lot of these people out of the club and start over. And that's not going to happen over one summer. I do think we have to be realistic about that, but I think that we need to really make a statement in the summer. Not necessarily as much with the incomings, but also with the outgoings. So I think he'll be Matic that plays tomorrow. I think he'll be in there with Bruno and Pogba, most likely. I think the front three, again, will be Ronaldo. I think Sancho will play. Don't think Rashford will play. I was, again, slightly surprised to see him start against Everton. He had a decent 20 minutes like the whole team did, but after that really did nothing. I think Alanga will probably come in for him. But, who knows? Who knows, honestly. And yeah, we have injuries, but in this kind of game at this level, it's not an excuse. When you have players, granted they're underperforming massively, but when you have the quality of players we have, the caliber of players we have, it's not an excuse. If we lose tomorrow against Norwich, it won't be because they've got more quality than us. It will be because they want it more than us and they'll fight harder. Unfortunately, this season, that's kind of a given. Do I think we'll win? Honestly, I have no idea. And that's not me playing up for the camera or anything like that. I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you. Which is wild when you think about it. We are playing bottom of the league at home, and I couldn't tell you if we're going to win. Honestly, I could like confidently go, yeah, we'll win tomorrow. I couldn't tell you. Score an early goal for us, obviously, then I think we'll be fine. But that's easier said than done. We don't really score many early goals. We don't really go ahead that much either. You know, it's just about, as the case recently with all of these games, it's about managing the game, control the game, don't let them get into it. The longer it goes on 0-0, if it gets to half-time 0-0, then we've got somewhat of a problem because, again, not only will the Norwich players be thinking, hey, we're in this, United aren't that good, actually. The United players, again, will be going, oh, here we go again, 0-0, you know, let's just give up. So if we can get an early goal, I think then we can actually do somewhat of a performance, cut out the mistakes. But again, easier said than done because the amount of unforced errors we do in the game. I remember against Everton last weekend, first 5 minutes, Maguire just kicked it out for a throw and sideways past to Telles, 5 yards. And that gives the opposition confidence. And it's just stuff like that you just need to cut out. You need to move the ball quicker. None of this side to side and pointing in spaces that nobody's in nonsense and trying balls that just are never on, and just move the ball quicker, just a higher tempo. But we all know that's what we should be doing. Whether or not we actually will do it, who knows at this point, honestly. But anyway, guys, look, let me know your thoughts and predictions in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe to United View. As I mentioned, we're about 150 subscribers away. So really, really close to that 100k benchmark. So if we haven't, let's click that subscribe button and be sure to smash a like on the like button as well. I'm out of here, guys. Have a great Friday, and I'll speak with you again very soon. Peace.